All right, so welcome to the Maley Way. I'm your host, Jim Maley. Today's guest has given me some serious dad credit or street credit, I like to say. She was a contestant on the only show that we watched together as a family, all six of us, Beast Games. If you haven't seen it, in my opinion, it's probably the best reality show out there. And I've watched some reality shows in my life. Me and my wife are big Bachelor and Bachelorette fans. I'm not embarrassed to admit it, but this is a little bit more serious and I think kind of fits with what we talk about on this podcast. Like you might be thinking, like, well, how does that fit on a mental health podcast? Well, Beast Games, I think, is it's more than just entertainment. It's kind of psychological. It's a social experiment. You see pressure, decision making, character, all kind of play out in real time, and that's why I think today's guest fits. Outside the show, she's a software engineer working on the technical side to support clinicians, helping young people who struggle with OCD and anxiety. And on top of that, she's a dancer, which I think brings in the connection between physical movement and mental wellness. So I think she checks a lot of boxes, and that's why I'm happy to have Hannah Riggs. Welcome to the Maley Way.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and talk all about all those topics.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't record this on the Zoom, but I just completely bombarded Hannah with all four of my kids. They were so excited. My daughter Meg had a little note that she wanted to show her. You were one of their favorite. What Meg said was a character, but you're a real person, obviously. And that's kind of what I want to get into first is like you as a real person. Like, where'd you grow up? How'd you grow up? Like, kind of what led you into, being who you are today. So where are you from? How'd you grow up? Uh, just just start
Yeah,
going.
yeah. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
And I think, well, what specifically led me to Beast Games growing up was I used to watch Survivor and The Amazing Race with my dad growing up.
Yes. Okay.
We were a big like CBS reality family, so like that was one of my dreams growing up to play on Survivor. So I ended up like applying to a bunch of shows and ended up on this show, which had a Survivor crossover. So
Yeah, right.
kind of
Yeah.
accidentally happened.
Oh yeah, because you were really excited to meet the survive. Who's the survivor? What's his name again? The host.
Jeff Probst. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you got to meet him, and obviously it was a little crossover action. So you grew up in the Boston area.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to college?
I actually went to a dance conservatory in
Really? Okay.
Pittsburgh called Point Park University, and it was
Okay.
like I was focused mostly on ballet and modern, and I actually didn't get into software engineering until after when I got my master's.
Oh
After,
wow. Oh,
yeah,
so
so
that's kind of like an interesting career
yeah,
career path there.
yeah, I started in dance and performance art and also did and do living statue performance art. So like the people that are like painted like statues, we like I'll go to parties and events and weddings and like pose for like hours at a time in like one pose painted like a statue.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Wait, and you're able to hold it the whole time?
Yes, and that's why I was really hoping for an endurance competition where we had to
Yeah.
stand still and then everything was hanging from poles or memory. So
Yeah,
I
right.
kind of wasn't fortunate in the competitions.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome. Well, yeah, because I grew up into the Chicago area, but I went to school in Holy Cross and Worcester, Massachusetts, which is
Oh.
45 45 minutes outside of Boston. So I was in the Boston area a lot. I actually loved it out there. All my friends still kind of live out there. Um, so that's interesting though. So you got in, you were like going all out dance right away, like you were pursuing that like almost as a professional career.
Yeah, so that was actually my goal. And when I graduated, I did start dancing professionally for two companies.
Okay.
And I loved it and still love it and still do that. But I just realized that was a little bit challenging financially, at least for me. I felt
Yeah.
very unsettled and stressed all the time about bills and such. So then I ended up getting my master's in software engineering and I started
Yeah.
working in like tech startups as an engineer. So now I have two main jobs, so very
Yeah.
busy.
So how did you like how did you decide software engineering? Like, was that something that you were interested in all along, or you just kind of were like, well, just gonna make this career change and go to the exact opposite?
So it was kind of in both directions, whereas my dad actually taught software engineering when I was growing up. And so he was pushing me to go in that direction. And when I was young, I just said, no, I don't want to do that because my dad is pushing me. So I
Yeah,
purposely didn't do anything. Like he'd say, Hannah, sit down and just write one line of code with me. And I would say,
yeah,
no, I'm not doing it. Don't make me.
yeah.
Um, but then I also really grew, like I grew up loving like video games and board games and things like that. So
Hmm.
I think me not totally understanding what a software engineer did exactly. I was like, oh, I get to design video games and then play them. That's
Yeah,
how I got into it. And then obviously some people do that, but that's not what I do right now. I work at a
yeah.
mental health related company.
So are you still doing like professional dancing alongside of that as well?
Yes, yeah. So
Okay.
like a few times a week, like at night, we have rehearsal or class, and like we go to corporate events and parties and weddings and do like flash mobs or statue performances. We're about to do
Yeah.
like a murder mystery party in like 2 months
Oh,
where guests can come and try to guess who murdered who.
yeah. So what do you have like more of the passion for out of those two?
I mean, I think I have the passion for dance and performance, and
Yeah.
especially like with performance art, when you're like a tree or a statue, like a lot of people, especially kids, are like so amazed. Like
Yeah.
kids have come up to me and pointed at me if I'm dressed as a tree and be like, that tree is moving like a human. What's happening? And they like don't comprehend that this is not like a magical tree.
Yeah.
So like that's one of my favorite sort of like pieces of performance. But I also do love software engineering because it's like really interesting to think about like all these issues as like a puzzle or a challenge to figure out like how can I do this the most efficient way or the most elegant way or the way that saves the most resources. So
Yeah.
I like using both things.
Yeah. Well, no, it's kind of cool. It's interesting. Obviously I talk a lot about the mental health side, and I was actually there. I had just seen there was this woman who does therapy, like it's basically dance therapy, and she's
Mm.
like her title is like the therapist that moves you. And I was listening to some of her stuff, and she was like, dance was like one of the first forms of expression, like even before like words, and she uses that as part of therapy for people dealing with mental health struggles. And I thought it was kind of interesting. Obviously just the physical activity that you're involved in, that is helpful from a mental health standpoint, but also she was saying just like the expression aspect of it was good for people's mental health. Do you feel like and I know you don't necessarily deal with mental health struggles, but do you feel like, going out and having that to do beyond just the software engineering, does that like keep you grounded and does that help you out in certain ways?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I do feel like it's a good outlet if I'm like upset or having a rough day, going to class and dancing and getting all my emotions out, whether that's like dancing in a really like sad way or aggressive way if I'm angry. Like
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh no, that's all. Yeah, I actually want to look into this woman more because I thought and it was like I just saw it today, and then I knew I was going to be talking to you, and I was like, oh, I should ask her about that. Like, have you ever heard of that, like dance therapy?
I have. I've never like I don't know much about it, but I have heard of it before. So I
Yeah,
think that's definitely a legit thing.
yeah, no, that's it's. I mean, I'm mental health guy. I'm down for anything because I've obviously now dancing though. You can't see me right now. I'm huge. I'm like 6'7", so like I'm a big guy. So I feel like big guys like dance. It just doesn't work well for us.
Well, it might depend on the role. Like
Yeah,
if you have
right.
to be like a giant or something, maybe that's
Yes, yes, for sure. All right, so you talked about like you got into the software stuff. Like what was your first job, and that is it what you're doing now, or have you kind of worked your way up to that?
Yeah, so I actually worked my way up. The first job I had was at a blockchain company. which was not necessarily a passion of mine, but it was
Yeah.
like a foot in the door because I think a lot of places I looked at, they were like, "You're a dancer. We don't really understand what's what you're
Yeah,
doing
right.
here." So I just needed to get like a job. And then I
Uh-huh.
moved to another job that had to do with like healthcare tech. And then now I'm working for a company that, as you said, does anxiety and OCD treatment for kids, which
Yeah.
I love. It's like definitely, I mean, it's hard sitting in front of a computer 8 hours a day, but as far as the mission goes, like I feel really passionate about it, and I love that like I'm actually like paid to help improve other people's lives.
Yeah, that's interesting. So how exactly like what exactly are you doing behind the scenes for the clinicians?
Yeah, so our company is completely remote and it's
Okay.
all telehealth. So, literally, any tools that the patients or families use, our clinicians use. And, like, on our side, there's therapists, coaches, psychiatrists. There's the intake team who interviews people to make sure that we're a right fit for them, the
Mhm.
billing team. So, any of the software, like at any point in time, whether it's like you're applying or you're paying or they're note
Yeah.
taking or discharging you to somewhere else. So, it's
Yeah.
so much more than you can even it's people are like, what would you need software for? But it's like the whole journey.
Yeah. Well, no, that's awesome too, because I think the, I'm dealing with a lot of students and, especially since COVID, like I've really seen an uptick in like the anxiety of kids and OCD and things like that, depression. Like it's just been on the rise, I think. And one of the things though that I think is good with the telehealth, like doing it on screen. I had a buddy of mine whose son, he's got like a 10-year-old boy, and the boy's like, well, I don't want to go to like an office. Like, I'm embarrassed. I'm blah, blah, blah. Obviously, we want to get kids so they're not embarrassed and they're not ashamed. But I also think, like, doing it over the screen is a good first step to get people like involved in that and taking that first step to get help, which is that's awesome that you're involved in that because I think it's really needed and I think it's going to continue to be needed even more.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like this allows it to work with people's schedules. Like they don't have to deal with the commuting time, or they can
Yeah,
do it from school or like from swim practice quickly in like the locker room or something. So
yeah,
definitely is helpful. And yeah, like there shouldn't be that stigma against therapy and mental health stuff since it's just like another part of your body that needs you need to keep healthy, but there definitely
yeah,
is that. So I'm glad that it exists.
yeah. No, that is awesome. And do you like, are you in communication with the, I mean, I know they're not going to tell you like specific things, but are you in communication like with them at this time? Like are you guys talking about these type of issues at all, or is it just kind of you're more behind the scenes?
So we don't really ever interact with like the patients and families unless they come in to like give feedback or anything like that. I mean, by come in, I mean like sometimes we've had some families come in to our like retreats and talk to us and tell us like their experience with us. But we do interact really closely with like the therapists and coaches, and they'll show us like what happens in a session, and we'll give us like care team stories of like ways like treatment has like ebbed and flowed and successes and things like that. And that's sort of what keeps us grounded and it's inspired because I think day to day you can kind of like it gets monotonous and you're kind of get like lost in the weeds. But like when we hear stories about like a specific person without PHI in it, they cover up all the personal details. But when you hear
Yeah,
the
right.
story, like you feel like inspired or like, oh wow, this person wasn't able to even go to school and now they're sleeping over at friends' houses playing soccer and now they're gonna go to college next year. Like that's a
Yeah.
random things. That's not an actual patient, but just
Yeah,
an
well, and
example.
you were a part of that. I mean, I'm sure that's got to give you like a boost in a way, like that mental health boost in a way, knowing that you were a part of like helping someone, accomplish a goal of theirs to get better in that way. I think that's awesome. That was you kind of brought it up. Now, do they record? Do they record the sessions?
Um, I don't know. I mean, theoretically, for a training purpose, if purpose if it's like consented to, but I've
Yeah.
never seen one. So I'm gonna guess no.
Yeah.
If they do, not for us, since we're not
Gotcha.
needed for
Okay.
care.
Yeah, no. I was just wondering because I think that would be cool for like I know like I've been in on sessions with like our school social worker with a kid who wanted me to be there because they felt comfortable talking to me. It was just kind of cool seeing them in action and like seeing how they interacted with the student. It gave me a new level of respect for them. Not that I didn't have respect, but it gave me a new level of respect that I don't know. It'd be cool for people to see as long as it was consented,
Yeah, of
obviously.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Um,
I wish we could like sit in. Definitely been advocating for that to like see how things go. Or like we do a lot of exposure therapy. So I wonder like if a kid maybe one of their exposures could be like having somebody else in their session, but I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Now you mentioned before about the reality TV, how you had always had an interest in that. How did the Beast Games come about?
Yeah, so yeah, as I said, I've like always been interested in reality competition shows. Less of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette,
Yeah,
more
yeah,
more of Beast Game Survivor, The Amazing Race vibes.
yeah,
And like I actually have a lot of friends in that community that like they know casting people and they follow casting people on Instagram. So like a friend actually literally said, "Oh, Beast Game says they're looking for smart women. Hannah, I feel like you fall into that umbrella. Should I
yeah,
tell a casting person that you're interested and do you want to apply?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? What's the worst that's gonna happen?" And
yeah.
somehow I fit the mold that they were looking for and just moved my way through casting and got on. So really just like word of mouth.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you too. Like, so you do like the application process. Is there like, I've known in other reality shows, do they do like a psychological profile on you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't like a profile. I don't know, I guess what that means, but they definitely do like we did like two different sort of quiz type things that we filled out. Like one was very specific to us, like what's the relationship with your family like? What's this or that like? What was it like growing up? And then another one I think was like an official psychological test that took like 3 or 4 hours, and I don't remember what it was, but I think it's something to make sure like it was safe for you to be in the city sleeping in the
Yeah,
same room as a bunch of other strangers and nothing bad
yeah,
would happen.
right, yeah. Yeah, because I've always wondered like how they do that. Because they always in different reality shows, they always like have a couple people who are like the bad boys or the bad girls. And I've always wondered, like, well, did they specifically seek that out? Or are they seeking out different types of personalities for these things? And I'm sure they do in a certain way.
Yeah, I would
Uh,
guess nothing that I'm aware of. Like I didn't see like Hannah fits in this criteria, but
yeah,
I would guess that they cast us each based on like expecting a certain personality and
yeah,
gameplay from us.
yeah. So, all right. So you haven't, did you watch the first season?
Yes. I
Okay.
watched it
So
3 times to prepare.
yeah. um, so like what were your expectations going in? Like what were you thinking going in versus what you actually experienced?
Yeah, well, one, I expected there to be way more people. So when they told, because the first season, actually, the episode that they show on YouTube started with 2,000 people. So
Yeah.
when we found out there would be 200 people, we were all shocked, and we already made it to top 200. We're so happy.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to make it that far to Final Four. I think just because, not that explicitly thought I couldn't do it, but I just tend to have kind of like low self-confidence. So
Yeah.
I was prepared to go back after the first challenge. Like in season one, they keep chopping them in half really, really fast. And I was like, oh, I'll probably just go out early and go back to my job and not even
Yeah.
need to have taken a leave of absence.
Yeah. Oh yeah, how did that work with your job?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate in that my job just let me take like an unpaid leave of absence rather than leaving it, because that would have been a
Okay.
really difficult decision to like, I mean, I wouldn't want to like say no to this like once in a lifetime opportunity, but also like I do really love my job and, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't really want to leave it either. So,
Yeah.
But by only making like $6,000, it was kind of like like
Yeah.
I kind of like just cutting. I didn't really like lose money or gain money. I was just kind of like a net neutral for
Yeah,
the
you broke
game.
broke even.
Yeah. So could be worse. Could be better.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I've been like talking to like colleagues about it. I'm like, have you seen Beast Games? It's like it is like a social, like psychological thing that I haven't seen on like many things where it's taken into account like a lot of different factors, like that pressure factor that you're in isolation at some points, and then obviously like the money aspect comes into play. How was that being a part of that from like the mental side?
Um, it was really tough for me. I mean, I think a lot of people say like it was so much fun. I had a great time. And I will say I'm having fun now talking
Yeah.
to people, like talking to friends, sharing my experience, like seeing your kids, like that's really fun for me. But at the time, I just felt really stressed like the entire time.
Yeah.
Like really high highs and really low lows where it's like, "Oh my gosh, I survived that challenge. We're going to the city. This is amazing." And then literally like a day later, Jimmy's like, "All right, we're gonna eliminate half of you in 24 hours. Throw the timer on." And then you just
Yeah.
feel this like sense of dread until the next challenge. And it's
Yeah.
like hard to sleep and where they're changing our schedules all the time. And we're going through time zones, as you saw with Fiji and Saudi Arabia, and you don't have access to the outside world. So it's like all
Hmm.
the only people who have access to are people that you're like, are these people lying to me? Like they
Yeah.
obviously they want to eliminate me from the competition. So even though these people are my friends, they're not really my friends. So
Yeah.
it's really tough.
Yeah, like I can imagine. I mean, obviously I know you can't get into specific people, but did you see anybody who like really struggled mentally with it? Like did you ever see
Yeah.
that when you were there?
I mean, one interesting way that a lot of people struggled was not having their phones, which was really
Yeah.
surprising to me. Like there were people who were like, I think talking about potentially leaving or quitting so they could go back and have their phones, which was wild to me since we were only
Yeah.
there for a few weeks. Like you have a chance at $5 to $10 million. You can't
Yeah.
you can't go a few weeks without your phone, but that was tough for people. Um, and another like specific moment that I think was that to go back to your previous question was after the family visit, I actually
Yeah. Oh,
felt
yeah.
more mentally checked out than I was before. Because it kind of
Yeah.
like when you're in the game, you feel like you're in this like alternate reality where the game is my whole life. And then seeing my parents, I was like, oh wait, there's a whole other world. And like I actually really miss them and I'm here all alone and it's really
Yeah.
tough to be here. And that kind of like brought me out of the game.
Now, how long were you there? Or like away from everybody?
Yeah, like for me, 6 weeks.
Holy cow. So, and
That's
you had
crazy.
no connection, like no internet, no anything?
No, yeah, no, we don't have our phones. Like production obviously takes good care of us and makes sure that we're alive and lets our loved one know that they're still with us so they don't think we've
Yeah.
been kidnapped or anything. But
Yeah.
yeah, no access, no internet, no phones. Like in the city, we have what you see in the city. You see we have like some books, we have some games, but it's like we don't even have our normal clothes.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like you just feel very stripped away from everything that makes you feel like comfortable and, safe.
Yeah. No, that has to be, well, was part of it for you like sometimes like back in the day I remember me and my wife went to Europe, and like it was before you could like really like have like phone plans, and it was for our honeymoon, and it was kind of nice for like 2 weeks. It was kind of nice not having our phones and not having access to the internet. Did you have that at all too for at least a brief period where you're like this is kind of enjoyable?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I had that besides not being able to see like my boyfriend or my parents or like close
Yeah.
friends. I kind of liked it. Like I was like, wow, I'm not distracted by social media or the news or the internet. And like when we're all hanging out in the city and playing board games or playing Mafia or whatever we're playing or playing basketball, you're like completely fully like in the moment.
Yeah.
And like when I was growing up, it was kind of like before smartphones. So
Hmm.
brought me a lot back to like middle school and high school where like if you had a free period, we were just like I don't know what we were doing, like gossiping or playing hangman or
Yeah,
tic-tac-toe,
yeah.
like just like doing random, like making up random games. And it just kind of was nice to go back to that.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I can imagine certain people handle that a little bit better. And I felt like handling it, my wife and my kids were always like, we were all like, well, Hannah handled everything pretty well. And I feel like kind of with a lot of class and with character, and like you never seem to really waver at all. And I got to be honest, I don't know if I probably could have been like someone lying to other people. And it seemed like you kind of, stayed true to your values. And it's kind of like that's what it's about. It's money versus, maybe doing some things that you shouldn't necessarily do. How did you go in saying, "Hey, I'm going to stick to these values," or was it just something that kind of came as you went through it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, I think going into it, I honestly expected to potentially be more devious than I was. I'm
Yeah,
a fan of like Survivor and Big Brother and stuff where people, it's not in those games, it's not considered ethically bad to like lie. It's part of the game. It's kind of like you're playing Mafia or something.
right.
But like as the captain's bribe, for example, like looking at my team in the eyes and saying, I'm not going to betray you, I just could not. Like, again, I
Yes.
know that's for a lot of money, but I was just like, I cannot go back on my word for these people.
Yeah.
Um, Especially at that point, like they feel like your family. Like they're your close friends and your family. At that point, we'd been there for I think like 3 weeks, and it
Yeah.
just didn't feel good to betray them.
Yeah.
Um, so
And that was the thing for the it was for the million, right? Like you could have.
yes.
So okay, that I remember when that was going on, I was like, okay, come on, push it, push it. Like, I was like, but I mean, I can understand what you're saying too. Like you've started to develop relationships, and it's on TV, so like your character is on TV. Like if you were to go against that, that's forever there. Um, but I was also thinking like for you, like you have a good job or two good occupations. Like, do you think it was different for different people based on like, hey, I have other things that I can like make financially viable versus someone else who maybe, hey, this might be my only shot. Do you think like that factored into it in a certain way?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard that question before, but I actually agree because
Yeah,
for me, I felt like because I love these games so much, I was playing to win and to get to the end and to have the fullest experience as possible.
yeah,
Because yes, the money would be amazing and life-changing,
mhm,
but I think I cared more about getting to the end than
yeah,
any amount of money I could take away. So I just knew, for example, if I hit that button, I would be a target and probably not make it farther. So I was like, I'm going to prioritize getting to the end.
yeah,
Whereas for again, like I'm not a millionaire, that money would be very nice. But again, like I was like, worst case scenario, I go back to my life, which is great. Like nothing
yeah,
terrible is going to happen to me otherwise.
yeah. Right. Yeah. I was thinking that like, I think certain people probably had like at least that little, you had a fallback. You have a good fallback plan where other people might not have that. And then also, if I remember, I think you said it there, but when you hit the button for the million, you still had to stay, right? Like you couldn't just leave.
Yes, yeah. What I think they don't really show is I remember beforehand, JT just kept saying to me, Hannah, are you still going to be my friend if I hit the button? Hannah, I don't want to go down there. Please stay
Yeah.
my friend. Because he was really
Yeah.
afraid. I think part of him wanted to just stay up there and just self-eliminate and just be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
But of course
Well,
they made him go down and like talk to everybody.
yeah.
'Cause it's like exciting TV.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, because he stayed in the game, right? Like,
yes, he
yeah.
stayed in the game. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think it would be easier. I mean, it would still be tough, but it would be easier if they were like, okay, you can press the button and you can just like bolt away and you don't ever have to talk to any of these people again. But the fact that
Yeah.
you have to do it and then deal with the consequences, again, that's like that psychological factor that I think is
Yeah,
tough.
and it's like even though we just met those people, like I think a lot of people on his team he wasn't very close to, but I did feel really close to those people on my team. So I'm like, I literally cannot betray these people that
Yes.
feel like my family now. Even though
Yeah.
it's like logically, if any of those people could eliminate you to get further, they would. But it's just like it's really, really a strange psychological situation that until you're in it, you just like cannot fully comprehend how it just like messes with you.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like, you living up to your word, like, are you still close with any of those people?
Yeah,
Like,
no, I feel like I'm on good terms with everybody in the cast, including people that like eliminated me or were trying to eliminate me. Like to me, it very much is a game. As long as something isn't done that's like below the belt, like insulting somebody's like appearance or religion or something like that.
yeah.
Otherwise, to me, like everything is a game. Like, certain people like lying to me or trying to get me eliminated. Like obviously it hurts in the moment. It doesn't feel good, but afterwards I'm like, I get it. You're trying to win. All good. Like no hard
Well,
feelings.
I felt like like, again, like when you were getting, even when they were going, my daughter wanted me to ask, like, how'd you feel when they started to target you? And was it the soccer game?
Terrible. Yes, the soccer game. It was
Yeah.
terrible.
Yes. But like you still handled it. I thought you handled it better than anyone I've seen in the game. Like you were just kind of like, well, it is what it is. Like you handled it with like class. And I know that's, some people might not, some people might rather have a million than handle it with class. But I think, I don't know, there's something to be said for like staying true to yourself. And
Yeah.
hopefully, I would think a lot of people respected that who were part of it.
Yeah. No, I think so. And yeah, to answer her question, it was terrible. And it was even longer than what you see. Like it's a
Yeah.
very condensed version, but it was a really tough spot because even though I knew like a bunch of these people are aligned, they're closer to each other. I'm not
Yeah.
offended. It's not like they hate me.
Yeah.
It's just they're closer and I get that, but it's just like a long time for them just to be kicking at me. And I have never played soccer before outside of like middle school gym class. So I'm just
Yeah.
like kicking, I'm trying to kick in one direction. I almost kick myself, I almost kick Corey's. And I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm not trying to kick at either of ours. And so I just feel like I'm just waiting to get eliminated. And I'm obviously not going to just like eliminate myself. So what can I do?
Yeah.
And just like
Yeah.
hope
I
something
was
changes.
I was gonna ask you, how long was that? Because that was, I mean, I'm an athlete. Like, I'm an athlete. I'm like, that was pretty hard to do. Like, did that take a long time for people to for that whole thing to be over? The soccer part.
I think it was multiple hours. I think it was like 6 hours, which again is like a really long time for me just to feel like everyone is against me. And Corey, for many points, he was kicking in the other direction, but many points he was just kicking it off the ledge because he was like, I just emotionally can't handle eliminating somebody else, so I'm just going to kick it off the ledge. So it was just
Yeah.
everybody kicking at me except for him.
Yes. um, what was I forget what I was gonna ask that had to do. Oh, you might not be able to talk about this, but if you can, did I forget what the girl's name was that had the coin?
Yes, Monica.
Okay, when she took zero, did
Mhm.
everybody know that she had to have made some sort of deal, or did people like buy that?
We initially bought it.
Okay.
Um, we initially bought it, and then I think people started putting things together where I think it was Nick and August were like, wait, isn't there usually a bribe? And I think they asked, and she said there wasn't a bribe. And then
Hmm.
again, there was no bribe before the next challenge. So that kind of made us all suspicious. And then, as you see, August is kind of trying to blackmail her. And they don't show this, but I think she
Yeah.
called me and was like, Hannah, they're trying to blackmail me. They're saying I don't have the coin. What do I do? And I think I was like, okay, if you have the coin, just show them then. And then they're just,
Yeah.
no
Right.
coin was
Yeah.
produced. So I think we were just like, well, and again, for me as like a gamer, I'm kind of like, I don't really care, to be honest, I don't really care if you sold the coin or not. You left money for me, and if you vote me through, great, thanks. Just
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not upset. If you got some money from the coin, great. Just help me get to the next level. Good for you.
Yes. Um, okay. The other thing I want, do you have any with the $1 million like that decision? Do you have any regrets on anything, or either that or anything else? Um, from
Yeah,
going through it.
I have no regrets with the captain bribe. I'm happy that I didn't push it for many reasons.
Mhm.
Um, but my only two sort of regrets are in the Survivor challenge, I just totally panicked and fumbled that that puzzle. And for the
Yeah.
record, I did have the correct things, the correct numbers, just in the wrong order. And I just panicked and couldn't think straight and just got really overwhelmed. So I know it's not nothing to be like ashamed of, but I feel embarrassed about
Yeah.
my performance there. As a smart person, I just feel like I should have done better. And
Yeah.
then in the final four, I mean, I think I was in a really hard spot. Like, I don't really know what else I could have done differently because all three of them, they were memorizing together and I was trying to memorize all 16 by myself. So
Yeah.
I just can't memorize 16 blocks faster than one person can memorize five. But I
Yeah.
just wish I had done something differently, but I don't know what. Because if I'd hit the button faster and they hadn't helped me, that I would have gotten eliminated. Like
Yeah.
I was memorizing as fast as I can, so just something with the final four.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. So then I guess the other question is, would you do it again?
Yes, I would absolutely play again. This or like some other competition game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually also play in fan-made versions of games. So
Okay.
this is not quite at the same scale, but I've played in a lot of like Survivor, the challenge, like Who is the Mole type thing. So
Yeah.
I love it. Like I think it's just really
Yeah.
fun to like get with your alliance and group and like work together and do challenges.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, well, I know they brought back the people from the first season. I hope maybe they'll bring you all back for the season three. I know you can't say that, but I'm hoping that that is the case.
I mean, I'm sure we
um,
would all love it. I think we all would love to go back.
yes. Okay. I wanted to like kind of wrap up with. Wait, are you, before I wrap up, are you on another thing that I saw going on right now? Like I thought I saw something on the internet, like a YouTube, like kind of survivor type thing. No, that wasn't.
I mean, I play in like fan-made things, but they're not on the
Okay.
same level of that. Like little
Gotcha.
fan-made YouTube type things, but definitely not the same. I mean, they're amazing to play in, but they're
Yeah.
definitely not on the same scale of of
Yeah.
these games.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. I wanted to end. My kids had four questions. They all the four questions for you, or they each had one. So four different questions. So my daughter Meg, this was her question. These are gonna be goofy. Who would win in a dance off?
Oh,
You or Mr. Beast?
this is Meg's question? Meg's
Her
movie?
question for you is who would win in a dance off? You or Mr. Beast?
Well, I would hope I would win in a dance-off because I'm a professional dancer. So that's my hope. But I think if it's like somebody trying to be like funny and wild, I think he might be more daring than me, to be honest. But
Yes.
I think I have to pick myself as a professional.
That's what I was like, Meg, she would destroy him. And he's tall too, right? Like
Yes.
I was like, yeah, tall guys, just doesn't look as good. All right, my son Patty, he's 4 years old.
Oh.
His was, what is the best snack on set?
Ooh. Well, we had a 24-hour Starbucks in the city.
Oh,
So
nice.
for me, probably like if I was having a hard day, they had like birthday cake pops available at all times. So that
Oh
was
my
my
God.
go-to, which is dangerous because you could go
Yes.
anytime and get a sugary drink or like a croissant, but that was my favorite thing to get.
Yeah, my Patty would definitely love that. All right, my son Andy, he's actually awesome at this. We have this memory game. He said, "Do you think you can beat me in the game of memory?"
No, I honestly think I could not because they didn't quite show this, but the first memory game, many of us, including me, worked together. My strength is definitely like teamwork together. Like immediately I was like, I don't have a good memory. You, and you next to me, let's work together. So
Yeah.
you would definitely beat me like 100%.
Oh, he'll be happy to hear that. And then my oldest son, Jimmy. I know you got the He's a big basketball player there. Who was the best hooper basketball player out of everyone? Was there anybody who separated themselves?
Um, I do know that they made us film a TikTok at one point where we all had to try to shoot the basket in at once. And a bunch
Yeah.
of people consistently got the ball in. And I think it was, I was not one of those people, but I was there. But I think it was
Okay.
me, Briley, Tyler, the other Tyler, and maybe somebody else.
Okay.
So I think I have to give it to our winner, Tyler, because I remember him being there. And I mean, he's really tall, so
Oh yeah,
he's
he looks
closer to
like
the
he would be.
basket. He's an unfair advantage.
Yeah, for sure. Now, do you guys ever get? I guess this would be my final question. Do you guys ever do like reunions? Like, is that something that you think will happen? Like, where you all get together at all, or will that happen?
I do believe so, and we've had an unofficial reunion where we all, in different combinations of people, walked a full marathon to support the season one Jeff's fundraise for his son.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, so we've all hung out a bunch of times in like different capacities. A bunch of us like walk. There's a one of the people players, she does like fashion, so we've all like walked in one of her fashion shows. So we're all like keeping in touch and doing cool things together.
That is really cool. No, I seriously, I don't know. Do you have, I guess this would be your final chance to plug what you're doing now. Do you have anything where people could find you from, I'm in the Chicagoland area, like your Instagram or, anything that you want to plug right now?
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram is at HK Rigsley, and I am part of a dance company. So we post about like our dance performances coming up and our living statue work. And then I also play in and run actually a lot of like fan-made types of games like Survivor games. So hopefully we'll open that up to fans at some point who can I'll be on the other side, I'll be on the camera side and telling people to
There you
be
go.
quiet and stand in line for the challenge.
Well, you got the experience now.
Yep.
Well, Hannah, seriously, thank you so much. This is how I end every episode. I always say by sharing your story, not only can you help others, but I've found that you end up helping yourself because that's the Maley way. Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I really, oh, sorry. Hold on.